Hey there, everybody. Welcome to our morning edition of Big Brother 22 All-Stars live feed spoilers. We are now in day 8. It has now been a week since the season started. Time really flies when you watch people make weird, questionable strategic decisions in the game.
I think because for me and for a lot of us, we just we're waiting so long to even find out if we have a season. It legit feels like this season is flying by. I can't even believe that it's been a week. It's just like that, gone.
We haven't even had an eviction yet. The first eviction is happening tomorrow. Hopefully we'll learn more about any twists or whatever else could be happening then. But this video will give you another sense of the current vote. We'll talk about strategy, alliances, and where Davon's head is actually at in the game. I know people have been wondering, but before we get into this, if you guys like this discussion, give us a like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and support us further by checking those links in the description to the store and also our Patreon, where we have a number of different benefits over there worth checking out.
So late last night, Kevin and Nicole Anthony had a conversation, and it seems like they're really getting really close, which makes a lot of sense. They both, to quote Kevin, are sort of in that realm of awkward potatoes like a lot of us are, but the chemistry there, it's great. They really do feel like this could go all the way to the end if he stays. The problem is that they're both super paranoid about things that just, some things just aren't actually happening. Some of them are, but they're based on circumstance of things that
Yeah.
it's not past this week. So the big thing that Kevin knows is that Janelle is after him, and Janelle's not really actually after him. It's more that she just wants Keisha to stay. Like next week, if Janelle wins the HOH, Kevin is not on the radar, really. He's not the person who's just, oh man, I gotta get that Kevin out of here. Kevin is a problem. So his read on this isn't really right.
I think we've all been trying to figure out, what is wrong with Nicole Anthony. We've been so frustrated with her over this past little while because she had this golden opportunity to work with Janelle, and she goes and rats out some of that information to Davon, and it's just, I think Nicole Anthony is sort of correlating Janelle wanting Kevin out this week with Janelle chasing down Kevin and trying to throw him out of the house no matter what. It's really just that Janelle wants to keep Keisha. It doesn't really have anything to do with Kevin, and I think it's short-sighted on their part that they're not really sort of fully seeing this, because there's an opportunity here if Kevin stays, which it seems like Kevin is going to stay, to try to solidify things and move forward together. It's not really happening yet.
Yeah, I'm not really sure why Nicole Anthony decided to do what she did with Davon, and I'm not saying she needs to work with Janelle. I know, there's lots of fans out here for Janelle and wanting to see that happen, lots of Nicole Anthony fans. It's her choice to want to work with whoever she wants to work with. Working with Kevin, this all makes sense. They're sort of two birds of a feather in that way, and I get that. But she still could have kept that information to herself, or at least found a way to maybe bring both of them over to Janelle and Kaser and have this sort of four alliance for the meantime. They don't have to ride all the way to the end with this. But at least Nicole could have known that these were allies. She must really think she's getting played by Janelle with the way that she's playing.
She has had these suspicions that Janelle is a part of some big, huge house alliance, but she raised this question last night, and I was just like, yes, Nicole Anthony, think about this. Why did Janelle and Kaser play in the safety suite? Because I don't think you're going to just burn your potential eligibility for this for no apparent reason. They did it because they were threatened. It's not because they're trying to throw people off the scent. This is not some crazy, Machiavellian plan to try to overtake it. It's just they were in danger. They played in the suite. That should be an indicator of something, but I just think that the paranoia, and I still love Nicole Anthony. It's just she's just like, why? Come on, please get it together.
I also love Nicole Anthony, but she is making some really questionable decisions for her game that she still has time to walk some of it back, but it's not looking great.
It's not.
Okay, so Nicole Anthony and Kevin do want to work with Janelle and Kaser, or at least sort of make them think that they want to work with them. I mean, they're aware that they're really savvy. Janelle's a comp beast. I mean, these two are really big players here. So that idea that I said a little bit earlier, sort of like, yeah, you can have an alliance with them for now. That you don't have to ride all the way to the end with them, but you do need more numbers. And right now, they don't have those numbers. And Nicole Anthony has been sort of trying to fish in the wrong ponds of people that do not have her back and are not really thinking of her as somebody who's part of their core group. Where it's so weird because Janelle has really put a lot of time into Nicole to make her feel like she wants to work with her.
Do you want to write a little bit of fan fiction here?
Okay, let's do it.
Okay, all right. So I'm going to get out the fan fiction pen because really what's going on here, I think Nicole Anthony wants to work with Janelle and Kevin right now, mostly just because she's thinking, okay, if Janelle wins HOH, maybe I can ensure that myself or Kevin were not put up on the block. I don't think she's thinking super further than that, but let's just paint this picture here. Maybe she starts to work with Janelle and Kaser, Kevin's in there as well, and then while they go into it thinking this one intention that they're just trying to preserve themselves for now, maybe they'll realize in doing this that they're not really with a big alliance and they can actually form something real. It's like one of these weird, romantic comedies that's built on like that awful premise of like someone doing something nefarious and they end up falling for the person and then it almost ends up blowing up. This could be the weird Big Brother alliance version of this.
A rom-com?
Yeah, of a rom-com with very different messaging.
Yeah, I mean, it could end up like that, but realistically, Nicole Anthony can't go to the end with Janelle.
That's true,
she's not gonna beat her. I just don't see it happening. So I think that the idea that they would have an alliance for a good portion of the game to get closer to the end is fine, but Nicole Anthony and Kevin, they cannot bring Janelle to the end. It just isn't going to benefit them at all. They are going to have to cut them, but it is still so super early at this point. They need this alliance. It's just whether or not they're going to really understand how much they need it.
Please, just let them get the jury. Let Kaser be a juror. Is this too much to ask? All right, so we'll get into alliances here. I'll stop writing fan fiction because Kevin, he might want to target Memphis if he gets into a little bit of power. And one of the interesting discussion points we'll have in this video is sort of the inability of Memphis to come across, I think, as authentic to people in the game. And Kevin doesn't really feel comfortable with Memphis, and he feels like he's okay with just about everyone else in the house. And ultimately, regardless of what Memphis wants this week or whatever his intentions are with Kevin, if he is not really relating to Kevin that he's somebody he could work with, then yeah, Kevin is right to feel this way, and I don't think Memphis is really doing a great job here.
It feels like, and I don't know if this is going to be controversial or not,
okay,
but
all right.
It feels like Memphis feels like he really has something to prove to be here, not working with Dan, to sort of show that he's his own guy and can play his own game, which he can, but it feels like he's just doing everything. He's doing everything, but he's not doing enough. So he's having all these conversations. He's made the big, as you've coined it, giant blob alliance where you're in, now you're out. Oh no, you're back in. Now let's scoop up some more people. Like, it's so all over the place and kind of crazy town at this point that it does feel like he's not making those genuine connections with people that you need to have in this game. So that's my take on that. I think Memphis needs to reel it in and really figure out who he really wants to make that connection with and start to open up.
Yeah, and to realize to have a good alliance, you need to nurture it. You need to actually let it sprout and turn into something. You can't just abandon it and just call it an alliance. That just
Yeah.
doesn't work.
No. Okay, so we saw before that Davon and Bailey had a talk a couple days ago where
Yeah.
they said that they were going to be each other's number one, and Davon has confirmed that that's it when she was talking to us, the live feeders. So
Yeah.
that is the number one. I love this. I think this is going to be great, and so far it feels like they really are honoring that. So that's good. This is the first real sort of twosome that's going to be going forward, so that's cool. But then the next people she's kind of trusting are like Enzo, Danny, and Cody. Nicole A and Kevin, they're not really in there. She likes them, but they're not. When she's mentioning who sort of her core people are, they're not in there. So that conversation that Nicole Anthony had with Davon yesterday was not the best thing, and we already all felt like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Man, you have this information and you're not on the block and you're not in danger right now, so like you could have sat on that information until you really needed it. You didn't need to do that. And now we're kind of seeing that Davon was not really the right person.
No, because it feels like maybe on Davon's sort of alliance meter or trustometer or whatever you want to call it, maybe Nicole Anthony is like number 6 on there.
It's not great.
Yeah, you don't want to share a secret this big to somebody who treats you as their number 6. Like, they got to be like your number 3 or number 2. Or they got to be really high up there, and I worry that this is going to come back to bite her in a big way, because if Davon really does feel like Enzo and Danny and Cody are this high up, eventually, and I'm not saying it's going to happen right now or even in the next week, but if Davon feels like she needs to disclose information about this conversation with Nicole Anthony, she will. And that's her prerogative to do that strategically in the game. I think we both agree that Davon is playing a really good game right now.
Yeah, she is. And the part that I'm sure made a lot of people really happy out there, except Nicole Franzel fans, is that she is unsure of Nicole F. So we finally have somebody who has a pretty good relationship with a lot of people, could get a lot of votes. I mean, it could split all of that group kind of up. But, I mean, if Davon keeps rolling the way that she's rolling, I mean, she could get the votes and get her out.
This is where things get really kind of messy, and I think fun messy. Like, I think it's good when you have a lot of alliances and people are going to be pulling at each other, because Davon has sort of made all of this stuff clear now, or at least to us some of it clear.
Yeah.
And now we have Bailey, who's getting closer to Janelle, who is not in Davon's pecking order really, like, at least in terms of potential allies really at all. And Bailey has said that she likes Janelle, and she's mentioned that before, and they are showing some interest in working together. So what could be really fascinating at this point is if Bailey or Davon, if one of them gets head of household, there's going to be a real pull where maybe Davon will want to go after Janelle, or maybe Bailey will be HOH, and Davon will suggest that. But what would Bailey ultimately decide? I think she and Janelle actually have a reasonable amount in common. They're both like really, really competitive and really, really smart. And like I think in a perfect world where you didn't have all these other allies floating around, I would live for a Bailey and Janelle like final 2 where they just steamroll people. I think that could be so fun, but I don't really think that's gonna happen.
No, I think Davon and Bailey are going to stay loyal to each other throughout this whole thing. And because of that, I think that this is going to be okay if they end up in a situation like that where maybe if Bailey wins HOH, she doesn't want to put up to Janelle, they'll make compromises together, because I mean, really the ultimate goal is to get the two of them to the end. So as long as that's happening, I mean, everybody else has to go.
Eventually, yeah, it's true. I mean, this may be also me writing more fan fiction of just trying to find a way to keep Janelle or Kaser around for a while, and I agree they're not going to have I just think they're going to have a very tough time moving forward. I just think we need drama, we need multiple sides of the house, so I think that clouds a little bit of my judgment, but I know that Janelle and Kaser are probably in a tough spot these next couple weeks.
Okay, so Tyler tells Christmas that he's having some doubts about this blob alliance. And the biggest reason is that nobody is sharing any real secrets with each other. And I totally understand what Tyler is saying. He is right. And because that is how these strong alliances stay strong, is it's all information. And if they're not sharing information, they're not growing in power at all. They're just like, oh yeah, we're all gonna go the end. Okay, great. How are we gonna make that happen, guys? Like, we don't really have any information, and if we do, we're not sharing it. So it's a good observation on Tyler. I mean, Tyler is a good player. I know that everybody's kind of like, oh, he's with the Cody side and the popular side, but I mean, Tyler's right.
Tyler is very, very aware of his surroundings, but I do think that Memphis put some stock in this Blob Alliance, and that's why he went so far out of his way to like, okay, I'm gonna go and get Cody. I'm gonna go and okay, maybe I'll have Bayley. No, I'm not gonna have Bayley. I'm gonna have Nicole F instead. But like he did put effort in going to these people, including Tyler and Christmas, but. Memphis seems to think that constructing the Blob Alliance is you just talk to them, make it into an alliance, and then leave it. But Tyler was with level 6, and level 6 they shared stuff with each other.
And it made them powerful.
And right now it's just Tyler and Christmas, who I think have something pregame, and they are close, but they're both feeling antsy because this doesn't feel like what they've had before. And if they're really worried about that, they're going to, at the very least, think that maybe this is an alliance, but maybe these people all have other alliances, which we know is true for people like Cody and Nicole F already.
My prediction is if somebody does not win in this Blob Alliance next week, it's over. That alliance is done. They are not sharing information, and they will just splinter off into little blobs.
This will be like the slimes in Minecraft, where you get rid of the big one and it's just like little blobs that go everywhere. But okay, so let's go.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Well, we play too much Minecraft. But, okay, let's talk about these alliance names for a second, because yeah, we have the Blob Alliance that is Tyler, Christmas, Cody, Nicole. It's like a lot of these big people that Memphis seems to construct, but Memphis. He seems to want to give it the name of the usual suspects, which I refuse to call it this until it is actually said on the show, because I feel like CBS's lawyers are going to take a look at this and be like, nope, you cannot have a copyrighted name as your alliance.
Yeah, it's not looking good for that. So Blob Alliance it is for now.
Blob Alliance remains. Also, last night we had the naming of the Connect 4 Alliance, which I also am not sure they're going to be able to use.
Yep.
Which is Enzo, Cody, Davon, and Bayley. I do not have a clever nickname for this, though, so I will continue to call it the Connect 4 until further notice.
Well, they're also still sort of all kind of part of this Blob Alliance. This alliance is just so big, and it's kind of all made up of all these different smaller alliances.
I think Davon should be like considered. Well, I think all of them should be like considered like honorary members, because it was like Bayley, oh you're in, no you're not. It's like you guys, they might as well all be in it at this point. And
yeah, because like people like Cody and Enzo are in all of these alliances. Like they're all just variations of the same thing.
I wish they were naming this the Connect 4. And you remember that package of Kaser at the start of it where his kid had like that giant Connect 4? This is really a great season for Connect 4. Finally, we have the core 4 of Cody, Danny, Nicole F, and Enzo, which the core 4 has to be the most boring alliance name of all time.
The core 4 and the Connect 4, this is going to get so messy and so ugly, because we do have Enzo and Cody who are in both of these with two names that are so similar.
They're going to totally call one of them the wrong name to the wrong person, and it's going to be hilarious.
Yeah, it's coming.
Oh, please let this happen.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of surprised that neither one of them were like, oh, I already have this other thing, so let me suggest something else. I guess it just didn't work out.
Nah. All right, so we're pretty much at the end of all of this. We're getting close to the eviction show now. I'm
And
excited.
the have-nots are over.
They are done. People can focus. They can eat. Hopefully, their brains can kind of get a little bit used to being in the game.
Yeah, slop brain is over.
Slot brain is a bad thing. But what do you guys want to see today in Big Brother 22? Do you think that Keisha's actually going to really start campaigning? Let us hope.
Come on, Keisha.
Share in the comments and give us a like, subscribe, support us further. Check those links to the store, to our Patreon, and we'll see you here next time.